In this episode, we're tackling this front bumper. We need to figure out where the bumper goes. That way we can design the mounts. Now we got in our steering shaft bearing here, and this is the other piece that we needed to finish our steering. But we are down the plasma table. I had to send the screen back in, and I'm waiting for it to come back. We also snagged this Wilwood master cylinder. I think this is going to be the answer to our problem. However, we have to also plasma cut a bracket to convert this bolt pattern over from our previous one, because we're going to have to lose the hydroboost and go manual brakes, I think, for our clearance issues. So let's dive right into getting these fenders put back on this thing. That way we can figure out this bumper finally. Now this front has been all welded up. So if you followed along, this is not how it looked from the factory. You didn't have these little air ducts down here. So this has been chopped here, welded. So the in and out on these fenders has been welded here, it's been welded all through here. It's definitely not right. It's really close. It's actually within 1/4 of an inch, but it's definitely not precise. So we're gonna have to pull these fenders where we want them at. So now this fender, if you're just jumping aboard, it's not done because I simply don't have time. I'm overwhelmed at work, I'm swamped, and I just haven't had time to finish the body filler on it. And so I kind of pulled it. I pulled it out the body shop, my body shop, and brought it back to the house so we can move forward with this, because we can do the body filler anytime. This one is like 90% done. I've scratched it up and stuff since I brought it home, but we do have to cut this down here and roll that, pull that back. I didn't finish this because I didn't know where the height would fall. And now that we have it all bagged out and put on, I know we're not gonna lift that. If anything, now that the back there hangs down, all right, below the rocker panel, we're gonna build a little filler cap for the bottom of the rocker probably. So we're gonna leave the factory height alone on these. It'll just get pulled out like that, and then we'll just simply need to cut this off and scoot this back. So that's the reason why the bottoms of these fenders are not done, if you're wondering. But back to what we're working on today. We basically have found center. So this hood is still not 100%. Like I said, everything has to be fine-tuned, and I'm not really gonna super stress about this right now, because when after paint and body and everything's final put together, then I will kind of final fit stuff up. This is the reason why we worked on the other week my brace for the hinges, because I wanted the hood to fall center off the firewall, and I still haven't 100% aligned it. But we look pretty good. If we look at our gap back here, okay, across it, all right, we look pretty symmetrical, and we haven't put a tape measure on it yet. I don't think we're gonna put a tape measure on this car, but we look pretty decent. Now the hood, we can still push it over, all right, and it moves around. So when it latches in, it'll be perfectly centered, and when we get everything built up, it will be perfectly centered. But we bolted on our front nose piece because that sets our spread of our fenders correctly. And if you've noticed, we are pretty in line of the center of the hood down the center of this piece, even though it's not perfect at the fenders. Now, again, all this has been cutted and welded, so it's definitely gonna need some fit up. And we'll probably fit the hood to the fenders. We'll probably bolt all of this up down low, and then the hood will be the last thing we fit up. If we need to hammer and dolly it, roll it in, whatever we gotta do. But we're transferring down our string line to about the center of our metal down here. Now, this piece of metal bolts to the bottom of fenders. I've got them clamped in here. There's holes, all right, that the bolts line up through. So that kind of centers that spacing. Now we're not, you can see the plumb bob, I can't ever, that's a tongue twister for me. It's not 100% on the thing, but the plumb bob needs to go that way, all right? Check out what our body needs to do with our hood. Our body and our hood needs to go that way. So if we come right here and we take our whole front, I'm just trying to explain this through to everybody. All right, we can push that. I don't know if you can see that right there. Okay, I can push this whole thing over, and that's gonna get me centered on that. So that has some adjustment. So our bumper has a bolt right here in the center, but I'm not quite there, all right? So it needs to go that way about, what is that? So we can be realistic here. It needs to go that way 1/4 of an inch. So everything's within 1/4 of an inch or less, all right? So that means all of our points pretty much need 3/8 to 1/2 an inch of adjustment, so we can get everything right whenever during the final fit up. So everything that we designed moving forward is gonna need 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch slotted to have play, so that we center everything. Now, I measured off of the outer fender to the bumper, and we are crazy wrong, all right? It's crazy long on this side, it is on that side. Like I said, everything's been cut on these fenders and twisted and tweaked and everything, so there's no way we're gonna get that perfect. But we are going to tuck this bumper in. We're gonna pull this thing in, and so that's the reason why I am not gonna worry about my outer gap. So I'm not 100% happy with how this doesn't flow 100% from that. Now, back in the day, they didn't really care about it, but we're definitely probably gonna put some slots in here and bend this bumper in a little bit more and tuck it. If we might even just cut it and take a section out and move it in. But we're gonna fit the center perfect as we build the car off of the chassis and everything, because that can't be adjusted, and we want the center of the bumper right. Also, looking down, I can tell, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but this wing over here is definitely in like it's been bumped, whereas that side's not. Now we're using 3/4 inch plywood on the bottom as a spacer, because when this thing bags out and lays out, Mike said that if there's a rock or a pebble in the parking lot, you know, something kind of big, we don't want the bumpers to have that tremendous amount of force on them if there's a rock gets between them. So we're keeping that 3/4 of a space off of it. So from our end point to our ball joint up here, we are on the money to the end. All right, so that's going to be like 9 3/8, basically to the point of that bracket right there. Now this over here to that is also 9 3/8, okay? Right under half. All right, so we're on the money on the point. Coming off the frame, if we touch straight to the frame rail under there, remember this was basically chassis table, it's very precise. We are at 20 3/8 on that one. And on this one right here, if we touch straight to the frame rail, we are at 20 3/8. Well, it's closer to like 20 1/2, but they are freaking on the money. 20 1/2. Yeah, actually, you can't get better than that. 20 1/2 on both. So the in and out spacing right now, and that's on the inside of this bolt right here. All right, so we're not, all the bending is going to occur on the outside of the bolt, where there's no real bracing out there hardly. Okay, so we're trying to work these 3 bolts, and that's where we're trying to pull our measurements from, really. So we're on the money. All right, so we have in and out spacing correct off of the frame. We have the side to side correct off of the frame, and even off the face of this, that is 4 3/4 roughly. That's 4 1/2 roughly. It's been out, so it needs to be pulled in. It's just roughly clamped. So I'm gonna roll with that. We're on the money. That's where I need to be at on the bumper, and the bumper can't move. All right, so now that we got our bumper laid out, this was literally the hardest part. I'm waiting for my plasma control panel, the screen, to come back in the mail. Hopefully that's gonna be here this week. Once that's here, we can cut these brackets and we can move forward with the rest of this and finally get the bumper frame horn pieces and the bumper brackets and all that designed. So stay tuned for part 2, where we actually fabricate this and make this come a reality.